Excuse the messiness of this hair, guys. I still need a goddamn haircut, but we are here today with an important video, an important mini-series that I've decided to do. We are looking at albums that have grown off me and grown on me since basically the birth of this channel. And the birth of this channel is actually coming up to 4 years, I think. I think it's some time in April 13th maybe was when I officially started this YouTube channel, something around that date. So I thought, as a way to kind of extend this celebration of 4 years doing this, I'm going to look at some albums from 2017 and talk about why they've grown off me or why they've grown on me. Not really a celebration, that is it. That's kind of a weird way to word it. Regardless of that, you've seen videos like this before. People talking about albums that they changed their minds on. They were so drastic in the way that their opinions changed that they thought it was worth making a video about it. And that's kind of what I'm doing. But I'm going to hone it in onto specific years. Like I say, since I started this channel, looking back at some dated reviews, some dated videos of mine where I may praise something or I may dislike something, and 4 years down the line, we have changed our minds. We grow as people, our opinions change on everything all the time. I think more critics actually should be more open with how much their opinion changes, because I think it's more than some people are willing to admit, actually. I think more often than not, people care a little bit too much about their branding, and they think, no, I've made a video on this album and I've said this about it and it's out there in the world and it's an official review. I can't now say my opinion's changed on it because it looks inconsistent. And I don't think that's the right attitude to have. I think personally, and based on so many people I speak to on a regular basis about music, your opinion can change so much. So yeah, I think more critics should be open about that. Don't want to ramble on too much though. I'm going to go for 5 albums that grew off me from 2017 and 5 albums that grew on me from that same year too. And like I say, it's going to be a bit of a mini series, so I'm going to do each year that this channel has existed. Probably won't do 2021, might save that for next year or something like that, or the year after, because, you know, who knows how much opinions can really change in a short amount of time. But it's good to look at 2017 because it has been quite a while ago. So here we go, we're going to kick off this list, starting with growing off me. May as well start with an obvious one. I think a lot of people that watch this channel at this point have realized that I'm not as excited for Brockhampton as I was when they birthed. Well, they did birth in 2017. They accelerated their hype in 2017. They were already a thing before that, but 2017 was a huge year for them, and the Saturation series that they dropped in a very short amount of time gained them such a big fan base. And I think I was sucked into the hype a little bit. Sorry about the background noise there, that's pretty loud. I think I was sucked into the hype a little bit. Look, I'm not saying that everyone was sucked into the hype, and I'm not saying that your opinion is wrong for still thinking that Saturation 1 is good. I just go back to it and play some of the songs every now and then just to see how they're sounding and to see if my opinion would change again. Maybe they would, you know, go back to being good. And they kind of sound worse every time I hear them. The beat on Star, I don't think is good at all. That beat sounds atrocious to me. I think I don't know how it sounds atrocious to me now when I used to love it, but goddamn. And the lyrics are so corny as well. Like, every name drop of the celebrity just isn't placed very well. Just not a good song. And that's like not even the worst offender on the album. I think the worst offenders is like later on, where they just slather all of this like vocal modulation shit over the voices of everyone, and everyone just sounds like they're trying to audition for a new part in like Alvin and the Chipmunks or something. Like, I just don't understand the appeal, and I don't understand how I ever enjoyed this type of music. I think it just sounds really gross on the ears. And my good friend John, by the way, who is on the podcast, you guys might have already heard it, the Introducing the Peasants to Music podcast. John and I talk about all the new albums he's been listening to. And when he listened to this, he raised a really good point that I don't think I ever really quite caught onto. And I don't think many people are willing to admit this, but they don't actually have much of an angle on this album, or really the whole series in general. The entire angle was, we're just going to flood out loads of music and saturate the market. That was their thing. They didn't really have a distinct angle in terms of their lyrical themes, or really them as rappers or singers. They kind of just all chime in at random parts, like, oh, Matt Champion's gonna sing now, oh, Kevin's gonna rap now. Like, yeah, I get that they are a collective and there's so many members, but I do think it's a too many chefs in one kitchen situation with this album and this series kind of in general. I don't know if they really differentiated themselves that much to the rest of what everyone else is doing in hip-hop at the moment, especially on a lyrical level. Sure, there's some fun bops on here, but I don't know if this album is holding up well at all. I'm not convinced. Right, now to one that's grown on me a lot, and this is kind of weird, this one, because Young Thug, Beautiful Thugger Girls, I still think people don't really like this that much, but I am really surprised at how much this one grew on me. I think this is a lot of fun. I've really grown to like Thugger over the years. In fact, it's like an opposite to Brockhampton, where I loved Brockhampton, hated Thugger. And, you know, as years have gone by, it's just kind of like gone like this, and Thugger's up here, Brockhampton's down here. Kind of weird in that sense, but yeah, man, I think there's a lot of great tracks on here, and I think I missold it. Sorry, something went wrong on my phone there. So I think I missold it at the time. I think I just thought it wasn't very lyrically engaging, which it isn't. I mean, Thugger's never been one for lyrics, but when he sounds so good on a track and he's so lively and animated and he just brings everything out of a song that you just want, I think it just really helps make the enjoyment like really, really high. And I don't know, man, if Lil Nas X has cited Family Don't Matter as an influence for Old Town Road, but like, I'm sorry, Family Don't Matter walked so Old Town Road could run. This track is like the fundamentals of what Lil Nas X was doing on that track. It's like this trap country infused thing, and while yes, we look at Lil Nas X as the guy that did this for the first time, Thugger was there, man. He was there, and you got to listen to this track again. If you've not gone back to this song in a long time, play it right now and you will see what I'm saying. Thugger, man, way more influential than I think people realize. This album is a lot of fun. So yeah, not only is it influential in some ways, but it is just really great in that it's just fun from start to finish. Going back to Grown Off Me now, like I say, I'm going to go back and forth. Fever Ray with Plunge. I don't know, man. This one is just one I've barely gone back to. And when I go back to individual tracks, I don't think it sounds quite as good as I remembered, honestly. Especially when you compare it to the self-titled. Like, that self-titled album is so mysterious and creepy, and almost like a witch is singing to you and just putting you under a spell at every moment. There's so many weird and creative moments on there, excuse me, that it makes it hard to respect Plunge in the same kind of way. And at the time, I think people were pretty mixed on Plunge, to be honest, but I was the one that was like, no, this is great. But I think over time I've kind of joined the team that was saying it wasn't that good at the start, because yeah, I'm not convinced on this one anymore. Now back to Grown On Me. This is the more positive section, the hype section. Gonna mention Protomatter. Now this isn't a huge one, and I probably shouldn't talk about this one too much because I did already praise it back when it came out. But actually, you know what? This has aged so well that I think I undersold it at the time, even though I already called it great when it came out. I don't know, man. I think in terms of post-punk, this is some of the best out there. Like, it really hits so hard. My Children, The Chuckler, Don't Go to Aniseta, Male Plague, Male Plague, Male Plague. It's so good. This is some of the best rock music of the 2010s. And yeah, I did highlight that in my best albums of the decade series that I was doing. So obviously you probably already knew that I love this album, but I just wanted to highlight again how good this is sounding years later. Seriously, some of the best rock music of the 2010s in my opinion. Opening track 2, oh my god, what a way to kick off an album. This track is epic. Fuck man, what a great album. Now going on the flip side of rock music from 2017 that's grown off me. I've again probably kept bringing this up to the point where, you know, people might be bored of me saying this, but I don't know, Idol's not hitting like they used to, and I don't know, I think I thought this album was a bit gruffer and tougher and rougher than it was at the time, but going back to it, I don't think it is as good as I remembered at all. In fact, it's just fine. It's just fine. I think Joy is a better album because lyrically it explores themes in a more interesting and engaging way, but this one doesn't really have that, I don't think. And their most recent album just goes way off the deep end and just decides to throw slogans at you at every given moment, and it just becomes pointless and boring and doesn't have anything actually to say, which is a huge shame. But yeah, I think Joy has the best lyrical arc, but Brutalism just not really hitting anymore, especially given that, you know, there are albums from that same year that are rockier and heavier and hit harder, like Protomatter. But yeah, I think the track Mother is fantastic though. I love that track. What a great song that is. That's their best song easily. I don't think they'll ever top that. Wanted to mention next with the Grown On one, something I never reviewed because I never really had much to say about it. But again, time changes. You can look back at things in hindsight and go, why did I not do this? But you know what? Rhapsody, my God, Layla's Wisdom, really good album. Honestly, really good album. I think this is so good, like so good. Rhapsody on these tracks is flowing so well. Like, she really does sound fantastic on these tracks, and yeah, lyrically she's really on point. The beats are so good as well. The features are great. Honestly, man, I think at the moment I rated this on Rate Your Music as a 7 out of 10, but I might go back to this again at some point later in the week or something, and it could even be an 8. I think this truly is one of the better rap albums of 2017, and I can't believe I wasn't there to say it at the time. Really can't believe that, but of course, you know, my channel wasn't even that big at the time anyway, so I don't think people even hold it against me or whatever. I mean, my channel's not even that big now, but it was way smaller back when I started, so yeah, maybe people don't even care that much, but I'm glad to say now that Rhapsody was killing it on that album. Bit of a random one next, one that probably isn't even mentioned that much, but I remember raving about this Valere album in 2017. It's kind of like this twee bedroom pop type thing. I remember at the time saying that most of this genre doesn't appeal to me at all, but this is like one of the exceptions to that rule, and I have not played this like ever since I reviewed it. Honestly, like, I don't know what I was thinking. These tracks aren't that good, honestly. Yeah, they're fine, they're nice, they're cutesy, but no, I think it isn't as unique as I branded it back in 2017. Next, I want to mention St. John Hawke with First Opus. Now, again, this was one I praised back in the day, but Jesus Christ, this is aged so well. Like, wow, I wasn't as tuned in with this kind of electronic music back then. I think you guys have probably seen that over the past year particularly, I've done a better job of keeping more in tune with electronic music. And of course, with that in mind, I've gone back to some albums that I probably gave less credit to at the time that they came out, and there's so many that I've really done well for that, actually. Like St. John Hawke, who has just grown on me so much, because listening to more of this wonky, like weird bass, future bass type stuff has just really made me appreciate this one so much more. So much to love here. Really fantastic. One of the best of 2017. Top 10 easy now, and it wasn't even in my top 50 at the time. So I had to mention that, because Sinjin Hawk, need more music from this guy too. He's barely got much music out there, and I think we need another album now. 4 years? Come on, dude. Come on. A bit of an odd one to go back to with the Grown Off here. This is the last Grown Off album I'm going to mention. Because it was always one that I think was a bit of a struggle to listen to anyway. And I don't know if people can really say they enjoy it. Like, I don't know. It's difficult to stomach. It's really, really personal. And it's incredibly heartbreaking to listen to. But I don't know if anyone can say they enjoy it because of how difficult it is. And that's Mount Eerie's A Crow Looked at Me. Now, I still respect this album so much, but I think just in terms of what it provides as a listening experience, I just can't say I enjoy listening to it. And I don't know if it's an album that can really be defined in that kind of way. You can't really say you enjoy it. You just listen to it and just take in the experience that Phil Elverum is going through. And you can empathize with him as much as you possibly can. You can sympathize with him. But it just makes such a difficult listen. And the reason why I mention it here is because I just haven't really figured out since 2017 how to listen to this. In what capacity can I put this on and get a musical experience from it that I enjoy? I think there is something to be said in that, because a lot of albums that deal with depressing topics can make them in a way that's musically engaging, but I'm just not sure Mount Eerie's Crow Looked at Me does that to an extent that I attach myself to, which is why I mentioned it here. It's a bit of a weird one to talk about, and again, respect it so much, but yeah, I can't truly say that this would be a year-end list album just in the way it was in 2017. And finally, it seemed obvious to finish off with this positive section with another one that I've mentioned so many times that I love, and it's grown on me so much, maybe to the point where I'm repeating myself a little bit, but Playboy Carter, self-titled, is just so good. I don't know what I was thinking back then. I just, again, similarly to Young Thug, I think I used to treat rappers in the trap field as not being serious, as not being good enough, because they don't make real music. And I think it was a bit of an embarrassing phase that I went through, because I actually like a lot of stuff in this style now. Yeah, I think it's actually a genre that provides a lot. If you just ignore all of the lyrical issues that you might have with these kinds of albums, I think you can just listen to the way that Carter uses his voice in such a unique way over these beats, over beats like Location, and you can just sink yourself into it and have such a great time. And while I'm not expecting everyone to suddenly think that Carter is amazing, because I think, you know, there is still that element of people not liking this kind of lyrical thing, I think a lot of people have done a U-turn in the same way I have. I think a lot of people at the time really hated Carter, but have really grown to realise that he's fantastic. And maybe A Whole Lot of Red will be one that changes for me in a few years. You never know. So yeah, that's the video. I've talked about 10 albums here that have either grown off me or grown on me since 2017. Like I say, I'll keep this series going. I'll do a few more of these videos. I don't know whether to take it up to 2020 or just do till 2019, because 2020 has only just ended. So there isn't really a huge amount of change that I could pick out, really. Yeah, maybe just do 2 more videos on this, 2018 and 2019. I think that would be good. But if you guys enjoyed this video, and also if you want me to go further back, actually, I could do that. I could do 2016, 2015. Let me know what you guys think. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got a lot out of it. And yeah, thank you for watching as always. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And goodbye. Have a good day. Goodbye.